Welcome back to War Archive, your gateway to the untold stories of history's greatest battles and the mysterious folk tales that time almost forgot. Like, share and subscribe and enter a world of war, mystery, and timeless. The whisper beneath the mountains. They say every war leaves shadows behind. But in the mountains above Sarajevo, there are shadows older than the war itself, shadows that move with purpose, that follow the footsteps of men, that carry the echoes of a hunt begun long before bullets first tore through the Balkan sky. My name is Adnan Vuković, and this is the story I never wanted to tell. The story of the men who called themselves the Sarajevo Hunting Club. The roots of the storm. Long before the first barricades were built, the land was already trembling with the tension of history. Bosnia was a mosaic, cultures, religions, and memories stitched together by centuries of uneasy peace. But when Yugoslavia cracked, those stitches snapped. Whispers turned into arguments. Arguments became threats. Threats became gunfire. In the chaos, strange factions emerged. Some were formed to defend, others to conquer. And then there were those who operated in silence, those who thrived in the confusion between truth and brutality. That is where the hunting club was born. The first sight. I encountered them during my first week in the siege. I was a young field scout, assigned to watch enemy movement through the broken streets. On a fog-covered evening, from the attic of a half-destroyed library, I saw 4 men. No insignias. No unit markings. Just dark coats, heavy rifles, and a symbol carved into their gear, a circle cut by 3 vertical lines, like claw marks. They weren't heading toward the front. They were heading into the hills. My commander put a hand on my shoulder when I reported it. Forget them, Adnan. They are ghosts. You don't chase ghosts here. But ghosts have a way of finding you. 2 months later, a survivor crawled into our safe house. Shot twice. Half frozen. Delirious. He kept repeating the same thing. They hunt at night. Not soldiers, hunters. They take territory like tracking prey. Before he died, he pressed a metal badge into my hand. That same symbol. Those claw marks. I felt the mountains watching me. My commander, Captain Idris, finally spoke of them. They aren't official. They aren't rogue. They are something in between. Men with dark connections, leaders, smugglers, politicians. They decide which streets burn. They decide which ones live. And they do it without leaving fingerprints. What do they hunt? I asked. He looked at me, tired. Control. Influence. Fear. In war, Adnan, those are worth more than land. Into the ashen woods. The turning point came when our reconnaissance unit was ambushed near the forest line. I led the escape. Only 3 of us survived. But what haunted me was what I saw while hiding beneath a fallen tree. The hunting club walking quietly among the bodies, inspecting the scene, not as soldiers, but as evaluators. As if the battlefield were a harvest. Their leader, a tall man with frost-white hair, planted a wooden stake into the ground beside the corpses. A ritual. A mark. A warning. I realized then, they weren't just fighting the war. They were shaping it. Alliances forged in desperation. Rumors spread that they worked with multiple sides, Bosniaks, Croats, Serbs, whichever alliance benefited their unseen agenda. They traded weapons in exchange for influence zones. They brokered truces only to break them when the balance of fear grew dull. To survive, I needed my own alliances. I teamed up with Luka, a sniper with a calm voice and haunted eyes, and Myra, a medic who'd lost her family early in the siege but still moved through war with an almost supernatural resolve. Together, we decided to track the club, not to stop them, but to understand them. Knowledge was survival. But the more we learned, the worse the truth became. The trail of silent villages. We found villages that weren't bombed but emptied. Not destroyed, claimed. The same wooden stakes. The same clawed emblem. Not a single shot fired. The people had disappeared. Some said they fled. Some said they were taken. No one knew for sure. But it was clear, the hunting club wasn't just a faction. They were the architects of silence. One cold night, Myra didn't return from a supply run. We searched for her until dawn. At sunrise, we found a message carved into a tree near the forest line. The hunt begins with loss. Luka dropped to his knees. War steals everything, but this felt deliberate. That was the moment the war stopped being survival for me. It became vengeance. Into their shadow. We followed the club's trails deeper into the mountains, through paths only smugglers and desperate men used. The air grew colder. The wind howled like dying soldiers. Then we found it. A hidden encampment. Tents arranged in a circle. Weapons stacked in organized rows. Maps showing shifting borders that no official government had ever recognized. It wasn't just a camp, it was a headquarters. The war's secret center of gravity. The white-haired leader. We were discovered. Dragged into the center of the camp. Forced to kneel. The white-haired man stepped forward, his boots sinking quietly into the snow. You followed the trail, he said calmly. Few ever do. What do you want? I spat. He smiled, not cruelly, but knowingly. We want what every war eventually delivers, the chance to shape the world from its ashes. He leaned close. We do not fight for flags. We do not fight for nations. We fight for the future that only fear can build. He stood. And you, Adnan, you will help us. Not because you choose to, but because this war will leave you nothing else to believe in. I realized then, they didn't want territory. They wanted legacy. Luka broke us out in the middle of the night. We ran through the forest as the club fired behind us, their bullets slicing through the cold air. Snow exploded. Branches fell. My lungs burned with frost and fear. But we survived. Barely. Luka didn't. A single shot caught him in the back as we reached the river. He fell into the water, disappearing beneath the frozen surface. War doesn't give you time to grieve. Only the memory becomes your funeral. Armed with the knowledge of the club's operations, I returned to command. A special operation was formed, not to destroy the hunting club, that was impossible, but to push them back into obscurity. We fought them in a valley of dying trees and frozen earth. A battle without glory. A confrontation without victory. We forced them to retreat. But we did not defeat them. The white-haired leader watched from the ridge. He didn't raise a weapon. He simply gave me a nod, as if saying, "The hunt is never over." Only paused. Sarajevo survived, not because of the armies, not because of the factions, but because its people refused to kneel. The hunting club faded back into myth, into whispers, into the unrecorded margins of history. But legends often outlive the wars that birthed them. The shadows that remain. War ends. Paperwork is signed. Borders are redrawn. But the shadows remain. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind carries the cold breath of the mountains, I still feel their presence, the men who believed fear could rebuild a world. The Sarajevo Hunting Club was never about hunting enemies. It was about hunting the future. And the most haunting truth is this. Some wars never end. They simply change hunters. Thank you for watching War Archive. Like, share, and subscribe.